Hey everybody, this is Sage Melodee, and you are cooking with Sage, and I'm cooking up some of the hottest wineries in Sebastopol, California. I've got with me Ted and Heidi of Littorai Wineries. Their place is absolutely fantastic, and they invited me to be able to interview them. So thank you guys so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. We're delighted you came.
Well, you know what? I am delighted to be here. Number one, I couldn't believe all the wineries I've seen in Sebastopol, and I was on vacation, and I thought, no, I've got to interview you guys. You're a beautiful couple. Tell me how you got started.
You want me to go first? We're looking at each other going, I don't know. Do you remember? It was a long time ago. We met as a couple in Napa Valley, but I'm a lifelong winemaker, so I actually began my career in France. And Heidi and I met in Napa Valley after I'd gone to work there for a short period of time. And then my passion was Pinot Noir and Chardonnay because of working in Burgundy. And so once we decided to do our own thing, Heidi and I really spent much of 1993, 92, the winter of 92, traveling up and down the West Coast looking for places for Pinot and Chardonnay. Is that what you remember, honey?
That's what I remember.
So you guys are still on the right path here. That is so cute. Well, Heidi, tell me a little bit about you.
So when Ted and I met, it was actually a setup, kind of a blind date. It was a group dinner party in St. Helena, California. And hit it off. At the time, I was in graduate school in San Francisco. And after meeting Ted, I moved up to St. Helena and got a job at a couple of different wineries. And we started Littorai together in 92, traveling, looking for areas of interest, and then having our first vintage in 93.
Wow.
We also got married in 93.
All right.
It was an auspicious year.
It was.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So I'm looking at all of your acreage. How many acres are out here?
So Littorai is a winery, works with the equivalent of about 40 acres. Now, some of that is with growers, some of that's our own. The property that you are on, which you alluded to, is approximately 30 acres, of which only 3 actually are grapes.
Okay. Well, this is very cool. It looks like a lot. And here's my other question to you. So you're specializing in Pinot Noir. I never can say that very well. And Chardonnay. Okay. So tell me a little bit about your specialty and how you make your wine. I mean, don't tell me all your secrets. I know you can't do that. But
there are no secrets in the wine business. Everybody thinks there are, but there are none. There's a tradition which really comes from Europe of making wines with as little sort of manufacturing as possible. In other words, trying to pick the grapes at the right ripeness, and then not using too much new oak on them, not playing too many games. So the idea for us is that when you see the name of a vineyard on a Littorai bottle of wine, the wine should every year taste like the place it came from. That isn't to say that it tastes the same, but if you line them all up, and no one needs to be a wine expert to do this, right? Yeah. If you line them all up, say 5 or 10 vintages, you could say, Sage, as easily as I could, well, this wine tends to be X. It tends to be fruity. It tends to be firm. It tends to be austere. It doesn't require an expert to be able to say that. And that's this notion of terroir, that there's a signature, if you will, from the place where the grapes were grown.
Awesome. And so good, because I put that on my Facebook, that you guys have like the most delicious signature wines.
That's cute. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I know you do wine tasting. It's by appointment only, which is awesome. I think that's awesome because it means that your staff can really take the time to cater to each individual, and you're preparing for them before they get here. So tell me a little bit about that. Look at that.
I tried to get Heidi to say something.
I love these
things. She didn't want to say anything. Well, they're private tours and tastings, just because, as you said, Sage, that one-on-one experience is really important to us. And visiting the farm, as you can see, it is a farm. It's a big part of that experience. You came to us today on a day when we're actually making compost. So we make all of our own compost for all of our vineyards.
Wow.
And we want our visitors to be able to kind of see and touch that extra dimension of farming, as well as taste the wines.
Yeah. And so they come in for an appointment, and I know you guys must have some wine clubs, or do you have special events? Tell me what's going on.
It's pretty simple. We try to keep it simple because we're a family and we're a small winery. So people can come and do both a tour and tasting, which is what we would prefer, because we think the tour is really important, which is a visit around the property. Or they can, if they're in a rush or whatever, they can just do the tasting aspect of that. And that'll be whatever is current vintage, probably 3 or 4, 5 Pinot Noirs, a couple of Chardonnays, a simple introduction to who we are. And then if they want, they have that opportunity, to join our mailing list or become part of one of our wine clubs.
Okay, awesome. So you have a big wine club. You've been doing it for many years.
Yeah, we have lots of faithful clients. I mean, to me, it's got to be the same for you, Sage, in your work. You love to hear from people who've been listening to you for a while. It's the same experience, right? That when you know someone's been buying your wine for 4, 5, 6 years, that's really delightful. And we hear from people. It's just wonderful. And we want to make wines that age, that improve with age. So,
Amen. And those people, they're going to come back. They're going to give you their feedback, and that really helps to keep creating great wine. Do you have any special signature wine that's out right now? Any good stuff? Come on, Heidi, what you got?
Well,
I know you got
asking me what my favorite wine is
Okay.
is like asking me what my favorite child is.
None of the above.
We don't do that. I have 2 children. No.
So typically the answer is it really depends on what you're eating.
Okay.
And we have about 12 different Pinots and 5 different Chardonnays, so there's a lot to choose from. And if you're having a duck confit or if you're having salmon, you're going to choose probably 2 different wines of the 12.
Okay.
And some are a little more masculine wines with a strong tannic backbone, and then some are a little bit more floral with spicy notes that might pair better with the salmon.
Very good. Are you a chef?
I am not a chef.
You're not a chef.
I might argue with that. Heidi has a lot of experience. She got very interested in baking and developed some real baking talents.
Very cool.
And I think she's become, and we've become, I don't do much, but I try to inspire. We've become really good at trying to find things for the kids that are healthier that you can still actually get them to eat.
Right.
Which is always the challenge with children, right? Is how can you get them a diversified diet that they'll eat? And so Heidi's worked really hard on that.
That's really cool. So you talked about your children. So how many kids you got?
So we have 3 boys.
Okay.
Ranging in age from 21 to 14.
Oh, awesome.
So.
Okay, you guys look great. 21? Holy.
And it's fun around the dinner table. Sometimes Ted will come with a bag with a bottle that's brown bagged, and we'll play 20 questions about the wine. And it's kind of fun for the kids to be there and listen about how you break down a wine and flavor profile. And
wow.
So.
And they're interested in general taste too. Like we'll talk to them. I mean, you mentioned, Sage, that you're in apple country, or what was once upon a time the Sebastopol, the king of the Gravenstein apple.
Exactly.
So we've got a lot of diversified apple trees on the property still, and so we'll bring up a couple of different apples and say, okay, here's a Baldwin. Here's a red gold. What do you taste?
How are they different?
How are they different? And it's, as you know, as a parent, it's so important not to force them, but just to see if somebody will say, oh yeah, I like that one better, it's sweeter. Or every now and then they'll be really interested and they'll go, oh yeah, no, I like that one, it's got more length or something. So just the little teases to get them interested in the world of what they consume.
That's right. Do you think are they going to take over your footsteps and
no one knows.
Yeah, no, the jury is still
we know
out.
you're not going to force them, right?
Right.
No.
But yeah.
We'd like them to go off to college and really find other areas of interest.
Good.
And make it a conscious choice if they want to come back and take on the family business. But we don't want it in any way to be an obligation.
Very good. Yeah. And that's, even though I became a singer, I followed my mom's steps, I couldn't help myself. Listen to this voice. I mean, what am I going to do?
I wish we had a musician. It would have been nice to have a musician.
Hey, well, speaking about musicians, do you guys do live music here? Or what do you do any? No, nothing like that.
We went for Sonoma County, as you know, Sage, is quite strict in how it hounds out winery permits. So the type of permit we have is for only 4 events per year, and we really don't do anything. We try to keep it simple, intimate.
So those 4 events are basically a client appreciation day, and it happens so far just twice a year, where they come and they pick up their wines, and we have a couple nibbles, and they get to taste some library wines. But no live music. If we did, we would hire you on the spot.
Come on.
Yeah, right.
Hire
there
me.
we go.
I love it. Thank you.
Jazz, I will tell you that.
You would. I'd bring Narda and a whole bunch of other people. You'd be like, wow, this is amazing.
That would be amazing.
Of course, your neighbors might get a little, ticked, so we don't want to do that.
No.
Is there anything you guys want to talk about at all? Or before I do that, where can they find you?
So they can find us on the web, of course, at www.littorai.com, which is LITTORAI.com, LITTORAI.com.
Okay.
And they can find us that way, or they can find us obviously by phone just as easily, but someone can set up an appointment that way if they want, and that's how to find us.
Okay, beautiful. So if they set up an appointment, can they do a same day, or would it be like
if we're not busy, it depends entirely on the day.
Okay.
So it's Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you guys have to come out here because I'm looking at the most beautiful, it's like peaceful, love, God environment is what I'm seeing, like God country for real. Let me ask you this too. So you've got your wine club. Do you have any wines that you could put in restaurants? So why I'm getting at, you do. Okay.
Yeah. So we focused on restaurants as our clientele mostly from the beginning, so that people could have the wines with food. As you know, as a chef, that association is really what's fun in the world of wine. I mean, sitting around and analyzing a wine is only for geeks. Most of us really want to have a lovely glass along with a delicious meal.
Absolutely.
And so for us, that's always been the focus. So you would find our wines mostly in sort of either the neighborhood chic, hipster, up-and-coming restaurants, or some of the great classics. So we'd be in a lot of the classics in, say, Las Vegas, your hometown, or in San Francisco, or New York, or in Chicago.
Okay.
Sort of that classic fine dining scene along with the better local spots.
Yeah, and there are a lot of cool restaurants out there. I mean, so if you need any help, I've got a lot of big connections. Yeah, I would do that. I really... Yeah, I know who to talk to.
Well, some of the most inventive restaurants, don't you think, Sage, are the neighborhoody places that feel free.
Yeah.
They don't have to deal with convention. They're really not concerned about the guidebooks,
no,
right?
They're not.
Because they're neighborhood oriented. So the chefs are really free to do interesting things.
And I've got to tell you, they have some of the nicest restaurants in Las Vegas. I mean, and I don't know how to explain it, but they're delicious. So yeah, I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to talk to some people and see what I can do. Because I'm crazy. That's what I love to do. I'm nosy, and I want to hook everybody up together.
That's great.
One big happy family, right?
Yeah, that's really lovely.
So is there anything that you would like to say to our listeners before we run out of time?
Sure.
Here?
One thing, when we were talking about the visit and visiting the farm, the reason that we encourage people to do that is that the world of, I don't like the term, but the world of sustainable farming, in quotes, is very important to us. And so we're trying to work on a more modern version of viticulture, which after all is a kind of monoculture, just like apple farming would be or whatever, and make it in a more sustainable fashion. And so that's what the whole compost stream is about.
That's
and
awesome.
Trying to make something that has real legs for the future and doesn't deplete the resources of our world.
And that's beautiful, because the compost, putting all of that back into Mother Earth is why would you throw it away? Yeah, when it can, and a lot of people do that.
I know. Even in Sebastopol.
Really?
Oh, of course. The garbage truck goes down the street, and there's the
it's
truck
all
that
the
picks
food
up
in
all
there.
the all the greenery stuff. It's like, what? Huh?
Yeah, I know.
I could use that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, and I also saw you guys had some. I can't even talk. Like a. What is wrong with me right now? You guys, it looks like you're growing some other vegetables.
Oh yeah,
that.
we have a donation garden for our local Redwood Empire Food Bank.
Oh, awesome.
So we it's our second year.
Okay.
And we're really excited about that.
So you're giving back to the community?
Yeah, we donated over a ton of food.
That's important.
Grown for the community, not leftovers.
Right. That's
not stuff that's second rate.
That looks like
it's the real thing.
It's like I wouldn't eat that either, you know.
Right. Only if you put it in a soup, right?
Even then, I'd be like, no, it's not fresh.
Right.
Well, that's awesome that you're giving back to the community, you guys, and it's just really an honor to have you guys on the show. I want to thank you so much. And thank you, Heidi.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming to see us, Sage.
Yeah,
we
you
really
guys,
appreciate it.
they're such a lovely couple. You should see them. And we're going to take some pictures so that I can show everybody who I'm talking to. So again, this is Sage Melodee, and I've got Ted and Heidi here at Littorai Winery, and it was a pleasure. Anything else you want to say?
Thanks so much, Sage.
Thank you, Sage.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. This is Sage Melodee, and we will be right back.